this is Shane Elks with Creating Frequencies, and today begins our series on sound therapy and the effects on sound and music to people from infancy to elder care. We will be exploring all the different ages and how sound affects us as beings. Today we will begin at the very beginning, which is a very good place to start, with infancy. I get a lot of parents who ask me, when should I get my child interested in music? When should I begin working with my child with music? The answer is birth, now, or before. You know, the studies show and they prove that playing music to your child when they are in the womb affects the child in many positive ways. Already, you know, if they are exposed to sounds, then it helps them in many ways when they enter the world and they're surrounded by sound. A lot of the use of sound when you are working with a newborn and the early years before they reach their first, you know, from the ages of 1 to 2 years, is what you're doing is you're using sound for communication and to create a bond, but you're also using sound to as an exposure element for children and for the infant. When children begin responding almost immediately to sound, they now use sound in many many hospitals, in childbirth and birth care areas. They will pipe in classical music and they pipe in lullabies when mothers are nursing and when children are sleeping, and they use that already as a sound therapy, as to soothe the children. But there's also many things that you can do as a parent. You know, when you're holding your child and you're singing to your child, as many do, as we all should, you should be looking at that child in the eyes. You should be close to the child, because what most children in many situations are learning is they're reacting and imitating. So you are already starting to teach the child that this sound is coming from your mouth, and the oohs and the ohs are coming because you're making your mouth this way. But also exposing your child to as many sounds as possible will help them. If you take your child for a walk outside, you're holding them or they're in a stroller, and they can already hear the sounds of the birds, and they already hear the sounds of an airplane and a car driving by, then their ears start to get used to these sounds and they don't startle them as much as they would if you would wait and you're not exposing them to these types of sounds. We don't realize just how much we react to sounds until we hear them for the first time. So think about when you hear a sound and it's not a sound you usually hear, it startles you usually. Even if it's a softer sound, it's like, what was that? Well, that's what happens with an infant. So the more that you can expose them to different sounds, the easier it will be for them to grow and to not be startled when they hear new sounds in their environment, and they can already see music and see these different sounds as comfortable things and things that they can learn from, instead of things that are new and that are startling to them. Using it as a means of communication and a means of bonding is very important as well, because you know, if children find safety in sound, find safety in music, safety in a voice that is caring for them, then they will also trust that sound to lead them in once you start using it as a means of education and as a teaching element. Just a quick rundown of kind of how just using singing in infancy. A lot of people like to have the kind of timelines of things. From birth to 4 months, crying is a baby's very first musical sound. It's an important means of expressing themselves at an early age for their needs and their feelings, and gradually they'll start experimenting with other sounds such as coos and gurgles, and they'll start imitating the bird sounds or the animal sounds or you speaking to them. They like to, if you do things with your tongue, make sounds with your tongues, they like to listen to that. From 6 to 18 months, the babbling increases and they take on more of kind of pronounced musical characteristics. They can start doing different activities with sound. From 1.5 to 3 years, the real singing begins. 3.5 to 4 years is when the accuracy of matching simple tunes begin. And then you're just on kind of the wonderful gradual steps of introducing sound and music as a means of expression and education and communication. When it comes to moving to music, from birth to 4 months, children are almost immediately aware of sound. From 4 to 8 months is when it becomes kind of more active. They start turning their heads and their face toward the sounds and the sources of music. From 10 to 18 months is when the expression of musical preferences start to begin. They will let you know what they like and what they don't like. Usually infants prefer vocal music over non-vocal music when they are being active. The last thing I want to leave you with when it comes to newborns and music is how to use sound to help you with your child. If you're trying to calm a child down, then you want to begin with a more active song and then gradually play down to a relaxing song with a relaxing tempo, and also the opposite way. If you're trying to get your child to wake up or become more active in a situation, you'll want to start with a relaxing song and then gradually rise with the tempo, because that's how we as beings, but it's definitely how children react to music. You can't force a tempo or a certain style of music upon them. You have to meet them where they are. I hope this has helped. You can contact me anytime, and I am happy to give you some examples of songs that you can use, or different activities you can use with your child using sound or music or any of the arts as therapy or as play therapy. I hope this has helped you, and I will see you next time with Creating Frequencies. Goodbye.